Did you ever wonder what's like to be walking around during a war, having your ballistas throwing bombs at evil, corrupted monsters, destroying everything while you relax and drink a cup of tea? Well, stay tuned, maybe this is the build for you. What's this? Someone was thinking about something else while doing these layouts. Let's move on.
Stupid dog, you are chasing your own tail. Starting to feel sorry for him. They feel better when they are overconfident. Well done, challenger. But there is one more trial you must complete. Defeat me and prove your worth to chaos.
Somehow I expected this.
Sword before me. Bicycle! Nails! Aim me! Entropy! Chaos! Ultimatum! Chaos! Aid me! Ultimatum! Obliterated! Chaos, aid me! My service is finally over! And my service continues.
So for me there's two types of build currently in POE2. Either use a meta OP skill clearly overtuned to clear entire screens and bosses in a few seconds, or you play with crowd control. This build uses Artillery Ballista and focuses on freezing enemies fast, by stacking both attack speed and projectile speed. To achieve this, I stack as much as attack speed and projectile speed as possible, and I use the blue flame gloves. That converts all fire damage to cold damage. Artillery Ballista converts 60% of physical damage to fire damage, and also converts 90% of physical damage to fire damage with the explosions. So basically, this is the projectile damage and this is the explosion damage. We convert all of this damage to cold, making it easier to freeze enemies. Also, the explosion multiplier is way bigger, and there's where the damage starts to ramp up with the additional projectiles plus explosions. So that we can freeze, we also want to improve our chance to freeze. Additionally, we can as well raise our freeze buildup. I don't find it necessary for mapping, since hair mobs are always freezed on tiers 15, 16s, even if they are cold resistant. I would invest on this for pinnacle bosses. We get additional chance to freeze from the passive tree or jewels. We get 20% here on these two nodes. Additionally, 20% as well here, and 25% freeze built up here. Doesn't seem much, but it's enough for mapping and map bosses. We'll get back to the tree further on. So, Artillery Ballista needs a crossbow to be used, but the damage on the crossbow doesn't matter for the Ballista damage. We can see that on the skill gem it says Totem uses its own weapon, dealing fizz damage. So this is the base fizz damage that will be converted to fire damage. So skill gem level matters a lot for the projectiles and explosions. This means that this fizz damage on the weapon and currently my fire damage as well don't do anything. Also, the attack time doesn't matter, so basically the crossbow base doesn't matter at all. I'm currently using this one because I leveled my Deadeye with grenades until low level tier maps, and this crossbow is really good for this build. The stats you should be looking for is the percentage elemental damage with attacks. It's not a perfect roll, but it's pretty good right now. Sadly on the lower part of the range, and the plus projectile skills. So basically the maximum for crossbows is 7, and then after that, if you get some attributes, or yeah, it's also good to meet gem requirements. Gain life or mana per kill doesn't matter as well, since we are not the ones killing the monsters. The rings, the damage in the rings is a really good boost to increase the damage because it applies to attacks, and basically ballistas are attacking. So this works, and the best combo is cold to attacks and fire to attacks because we are converting fire to cold anyways. Yeah, other than that, try to cap resistances, get life, some rarity, attributes, or some mana regen. Amulet, currently I'm using one for rarity. I was running another one with spirit, so I could fit some additional auras like Grim Fist to have more energy shield, since it's kind of broken right now. But since I got my last Ascendancy point on Deadeye, I don't find it necessary anymore. Regarding helmet, yeah, basically life, resists as much evasion and energy shield as possible. Body pretty much the same, you can really get a better one on trade for a few exalts. As much evasion and energy shield as possible, yeah, life, resistances, all of that. Boots with movement speed, sadly I did not find anything higher than 25 right now, I don't want to buy them. Yeah, Deadeye is already fast as an Ascendancy, but yeah, movement speed is essential because when playing ballistas you are basically running around and placing them, so it's really good to have additional movement speed. Belts are really hard to get with plus charm slots. I found this one yesterday, and through 2 exalts I did to get mana and thorns damage. Thank you, GG. Charms, most of them are, yeah, pretty useless. They do nothing or seem bugged. I use the freeze and stun one. They seem to work pretty well. When doing ultimatums, I usually switch both of them for a bleed and poison one. Life and mana flasks, yeah, basically try to gain additional charges, but it's still hard to maintain on long fights, so you have to control a lot when you click it. Skill gems. So Artillery Ballista, remember to upgrade the level of the gem when possible, but take in consideration the mana cost. There's a section talking about mana cost in this video. Take a look at it. First priority is support gems. Overabundance, so +1 totem. Big deal. Scatter shot, +2 projectiles. So basically we have 4 with the Deadeye Ascendancy. So we are talking about 4 ballistas multiplied by 4 projectiles, so 16 projectiles and explosions. And then as a priority, if you have a 4-link, depends if you can sustain your mana cost or not. If you can, go Martial Tempo to have more attack speed, and it compensates the less attack speed from scatter shots. If you are struggling with mana, use Inspiration. It reduces the mana cost a lot. This should be your 4th and 5th link. And lastly, projectile speed. So basically this scales all the projectile speed that we have also on the tree, and it's what makes the projectiles seem really fast in the air as well, and when they land as well. Currently I have a good ratio between attacks per second and projectile speed modifier. Probably more projectile speed, it will improve even more the clear speed and the explosions. At the beginning I was only trying to scale attack speed, but after a specific threshold I started to notice a bit more delay on the attacks. Not sure if it's a bug or not, but I was at 1 attack per second, and it felt kind of bugged. And even if the projectile fired fast from the ballista, the delay on falling was still a bit, and monsters would still get me more at melee range. Then I started to wonder if projectile speed could add a good synergy, and it does. You attack fast enough and you notice a big difference on the time that projectiles stay in the air. So more projectiles, more speed, more destruction. Was doing some tests as well with the AoE. So on the tree we also get some area of effects, and you can also use magnified effects to increase the area of effect. For clear, it notices a lot. So basically the ballista's explosions are huge, and you can swap with, for example, attack speed. Maybe you don't need that much, so you can do something like this. If you want mapping to be really fast and have better clear, you can try it out. But on single target, I started to notice like a big gap between the projectiles. So you still get the explosion damage, but most of the projectiles did not hit the single targets, so you don't get the projectile damage. So artillery, you have the projectile damage, it's still considerable, and then you have the explosion, right? So I found it better to just have some AoE. So currently it's around these meters, and the explosion it's like 2.2 meters. Yeah, it's good enough for me, but if you want to try it out, please go ahead. I was also trying to work with rage, because rage, we can see in the description, is a more multiplier. So basically it's really 30% more damage. So we can try it out so that you can see it's really a lot of damage, and you can check by the tooltip on the crossbow shot, for example. So basically it generates rage while you are near to the ballistas, and you see the DPS increasing until 30. I forgot to summon a bit more. So let's try it again. So it's really a lot of damage. So it's really a lot. But I found it tricky, so it can be good for bosses. And I think for pinnacle bosses it should be a must, because it's really a lot of damage. But you have to stay close to them. Really close. And it says 3 meters, but 3 meters is not much. So if I walk a bit, you see, I'm already losing rage and I'm close to them. But for the Ballista playstyle and walking around in the map, it's really not easy to always be close to stack up the rage. But for bossing, I think it's a good option for extra damage. And you can also get more rage on the tree. Here you can reach out 44 rage, and that's almost double your damage, basically. As debuff gems, I use them usually only on bosses or big hairs with resists. I'm using Frost Bomb to apply cold exposure. So basically we just do cold damage and a bit of fizz. Supporting with Arcane Tempo, so more cast speed, so it's not clunky to cast. Spell Cascade to get more, a bit more radius, let's say it. So if I remove the Spell Cascade, it has bigger AoE, but sometimes it's hard to target a moving boss or something. But with Spell Cascade it has less AoE, but it covers more terrain. So I prefer it, it's a matter of choice. And Strip Away to increase the exposure, basically, that's it. Another debuff for Curse, Hypothermia, so basically this reduces the resistance of the mob. I'm supporting it with more skill duration, so more time, so you don't need to cast it so often. I like Cursed Ground, so basically it creates like a ground, so you can curse multiple mobs easily. You can also use this in map, so when you're doing some, I don't know, rituals for example, or something like that. And also X-Bloom, so pretty good if you use these two in map, because if you are fighting a rare mob, a tough rare mob with a lot of other monsters close by, you can cast a curse, and then the curse passes to the other enemies as well. As defense hours, or buffs as they are called now, I'm using Ghost Dance, must have when you go evasion plus energy shield. Basically, I'm using fast forward, so it reduces the time that we gain shrouds, so that we have them more often. And I'm using clarity as well, so for the mana sustain this can be assigned to the other buff, but it's here right now, doesn't matter. Another defense hour for evasion based characters, Wind Dancer, important to add quality as well, because it adds another stage, so basically it increases your evasion by a lot. I'm linking it to blind, so blind triggers automatically when Gale Force triggers. So Gale Force triggers when it consumes all of your Wind Dancer stages, and at the same time you blind the enemies. It gives like a knockback to them, and basically they lose accuracy in the process. And for other support gems, Vitality, important to sustain skill cost as well. It can be this way around, doesn't matter. And Precision. Not sure if precision accuracy is working.
played some characters and it always seems to be at 100%. So maybe it's bug, maybe it's not. Just to be sure. And I have the spirit for it. So yeah, I just fit it here. Additionally, 2 auras or buffs, or the most important part. Well, energy shield is kind of broken, that's why everyone is playing ES, CI builds or something like that. It's hard to get life, but as much life and energy shield as possible will help you because you're an evasion character, so basically you don't get hit often, but when you get hit you must sustain some damage. And yeah, I find it to be a sweet spot in evasion, somewhere between 75 to 80%, something like that. So basically, if we have the 10 tailwind stacks, I'm around 78 at the moment. Don't get it that often, so I find it to be a good spot. If you have more spirit, you can also include Grim Fist into the auras. It helps recover ES and doubles your ES. Probably it will be nerfed. Let's see. I don't find it necessary as a Deadeye when you pick your last Ascendancy points, since you already have so much mitigation based on the tailwind charges. But if you have the spirit, just use it. If you are able to go acrobatics, so if you have enough evasion, it's hard to compensate the downsides, but I think it's worth it if you invest a lot of currency. But if you invest in acrobatics, try to always be in the sweet spot between 70 to 80 or something like that %. Solving mana issues. Well, mana is really an issue in Path of Exile 2. It scales a lot with gem levels. So currently I'm level 26 with Artillery Ballista. So 19 plus the 7 levels from the crossbow, and it costs 316 mana. It's really a lot. You cannot sustain that much mana. So basically you have to compensate that. You can run out of mana easily, because you'll be running around, placing ballistas through the map, and you don't want to run out of mana, basically. But take note that you'll be using your mana flask even with these setups, and considerations. To reduce the mana cost of skills, the most important gem is inspiration, like I mentioned before. This reduces a lot. So we can see currently I have a split between mana and life. I'll show you how. And if I remove inspiration, it starts costing a lot of mana. And I place 4 ballistas and I don't have mana anymore. And it's really a pain. Adding clarity as well. So clarity also helps. If you have some mana regeneration on your gear, it will also help as well. But probably the biggest way to reduce the mana cost, or to split it across life as well. So if you can see here, I'm currently the skill costs 133 and 57 life. So since I have a vitality and the regeneration from the totems, I can easily sustain the life part, and maybe I can even fit 1 or 2 more jewels. And yeah, that's achieved by crafting jewels. I'll show them on the next step regarding skill tree. So passive tree. We are a Deadeye, so in terms of Ascendancy, first I will always go Tailwind, independent of the skill or whatever. It's really good. So you gain movement speed, skill speed, and evasion rating. It's really the best for the first 2 points. As a second one, I'll go for point blank. So ballistas fire at their own feet, let's say it. So it's considered close range. So you get some more damage. Regarding the projectile hit damage, not really the explosion, but it helps. And as third ascendancy, really depends when you start mapping. If you have the feeling that you are dying a lot, probably take windward. This is really, so basically if you have 10 stacks of tailwind, you receive 30% less damage. It's really a lot because it's global damage. If you want more damage, more clear, just go for the extra projectile. So yeah, it really notices the projectiles. I went for this as third option. And then lastly, I took this one. After you have windward, you don't really need Grim Fist if you have it, but it's a plus. It's really, really tanky, this node. Try to keep your tailwind stacks always almost up, so if you get hit, even if there's no mobs, cast a few ballistas so that it ramps up until the 10 stacks. In terms of tree, I did so many tests, and this is the final version that I have at level 90. So basically, yeah, damage, maybe I could go attack speed as well, but I have enough attack speed, I don't need any more. Going through this path for the chance to inflict elements, more damage, picking these nodes for the movement speed, getting as much jewel sockets as possible, and I'll show you regarding the mana costs as well. Getting this node, it's really good to stack the dexterity and have more attack speed. Yeah, these nodes are all good. When you have a good body armor, the bestial skin is really good. Probably the next two nodes I'm taking are these two to get more evasion and dexterity for more attack speed. I don't really know if those are the ones, but let's see. Some 2 easy points for evasion. Getting down here for attack damage and maim, so basically we are attack damage based, so everything that says attack damage is good. Getting another jewel slot here, movement and skill speed, so on top of all of the skill speed we have, we don't really need totem placement speed because we cast them pretty quick. And then taking this path, grabbing some additional elemental damage sheets, going up here to get additional projectile speed and AoE as well. You can also go up here and get this attack damage nodes. They're really good also, but I don't have the points right now. You can also grab these 3 points. I add them, but in the meanwhile I remove them, so it's really good against enemies on low life. Low life is 35% I think, or something like that. Going down here, getting the elemental nodes, so basically this is the most important one, the penetration on the resistances. Since we are almost always using a mana flask, these two are really good as well, so a default one and then 40% increase. I'm getting these 3 just because I want some freeze buildup. 25%. All of the rest doesn't matter because we don't choke and we don't ignite. Probably for pinnacle bosses I'll remove this tree and go down here, because here you get freeze and stun built up. These nodes are really good. For now I don't have the need to get those, but probably for pinnacle bosses it will help freeze them quicker and also build up the stun. Going down here because we need to grab all of the totem nodes. Yeah, passing here, good nodes for attack damage. Here a massive attack speed boost with blind on hit as well. You can also grab this one, but I use the gem, the support gem. So yeah, just another point. Getting the increased attributes because yeah, you struggle with attributes in Path of Exile 2. Getting the area of effect nodes as well up here. So that's why I'm not using the gem to increase the area of effect. Getting another jewel up there, and then getting the most important nodes for totems. So here you get +1 totems, and you also have a chance to summon 2. Sometimes it happens. It helps on the mana cost. And then this one as well. So attack speed per totem, really good. +1 totem, really good, of course. And then life regen as well, that helps sustain yeah, the life costs. Like I mentioned on the mana cost issues and how to solve them. So basically currently I have partially mana cost and life cost, and that is achieved by the jewels. Okay, so it's easier to craft this mod on the ruby jewels, so the red ones. So it says this one 8% of skill mana costs converts to life cost, and basically I have a couple of them. This one doesn't have it, but it's really good as well for totems. So this one also 7%, so 15 plus 8, 23. This one doesn't have it as well. 23, 30%. So currently I have 30% being converted to life. I can even fit another one maybe, or switch one that doesn't have that that mod by another one that has it, or grab these 3 points as well to get another one. It really helps. You'll struggle with mana a lot, and I think this is like the best end game option to compensate on that, even for long fights in bosses that yeah, you need to use your mana flask a lot, and this avoids doing that basically, and you can sustain life easier than mana. Regarding 3, yeah, so probably the next steps or changes will be to get these 2 nodes here. If I invest enough, I don't think so, I'll go for acrobatics. Probably I'll go for another build before I do that. If I'm lucky enough to get invites for pinnacle bosses, I'll get all of these nodes. So it's a lot, 35, 45, 55, 65 freeze built up. It will increase a lot the time that they take to freeze, and also stun, because the ballistas don't increase rapidly the strength threshold, so this will help as well to get the boss stunned. And probably I'll have to remove some nodes, either this 3 here, or a jewel, or something like that. Probably not the prettiest skill tree, but I did lots of tests. I tried also to go up here to get the cold penetration, but it's too many points. The tree is not like friendly in some places. Also we have here also some points, but yeah, this is the current setup. You can also go accuracy stacking. Where is it? Here, I think. Yeah, so you can also go accuracy stacking and also get some attack speed from this node here on top of this one. I did not try it. I think the current attack speed is good enough. So if I have to summarize the pros and cons of this build, maybe some of you already played Path of Exile 1. This remembers me of explosive arrow ballistas. I enjoyed it a lot, did multiple builds with that skill. It's a newbie friendly build, let's say it. It's an easy playstyle. You don't have to be like a god pressing 5 or 6 buttons to kill stuff. It's a one button build. Run around, place ballistas, see things die. Since you can freeze mobs, you are pretty much safe most of the time. Throw a frost bomb and a curse on top of a rare or a boss. Yeah, it has good damage, but you'll not one-shot pinnacle bosses for sure. You saw in the footage doing Trialmaster, so it took a bit, but it was still good to do. And sometimes, yeah, bosses are distracted with the ballistas also, so you have time to dodge. If you have some visibility, if you are not a fast person clicking on buttons and mouse and all of that, you have time to think playing ballistas. It's good to farm bosses or some leak mechanics. For example, I'm doing rituals, expeditions, essences. They just melt because ballistas are just firing projectiles and explosions in the close space. For Delirium and Breaches, I don't think it's fast enough. You can do it, but it will never be fast enough compared to other builds. As cons is not for everyone. You don't really fight the monsters, you are mostly passive. Some people don't like this playstyle. If you are familiar with POE1, you know that totems, ballistas have a delayed attack, so you have to get used to it. That's why I'm doing this cold version while stacking attack speed to lock monsters in place without them attacking you, but still it takes some time to adapt, so you cannot like face tank a group of mobs or something like that. Especially on tight maps and corridors, you should place the totems on front of you so they can block spells as well, so it's really good to dodge those. So if you place a totem on front of you, it will block the spell from a mob if it's not an AoE, for example. But it takes some time to adapt, so you are not doing immediate damage. It still has a bit of a delay, but it helps a lot having the projectile speed. I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, it's pretty simple to go for. And I don't really look at the map mods that much, since the totems are doing the damage. They cannot be reflected, they cannot leech, does not impact you. Yeah, there's a few mods that are a bit more painful, but not something that we really should be worried about. Map mods. As you can see, the hound is a bit annoying because the mobs spawn on your feet. You see that even rare mobs die pretty fast. But on this kind of maps, you have to be careful. that you don't get stun locked, because the charm protects you once, but then it takes a while to have charges again. So always place the totems in front of you so that they can distract the monsters as well. And that's it. As next steps, yeah, probably improve my gear. Some pieces are pretty scuffed, and if I start using trade more, I can get some really good upgrades. Trying to find citadels, so yeah, almost 200 hours in, and no citadel yet. Yeah, so much discovery, so much bad RNG. Trying also to find some invites for the league mechanics. I don't want to buy them. I want to play the game myself. I want to be the part of the bad RNG statistic. Yeah, and hopefully tomorrow I hear something about the new Path of Exile 1 league. Copium. If not, I'll try doing another build and share the progress with you guys. By the way, if you don't know how to zoom out the map, I don't know if it's a bug, if it's a trick, but this is the maximum that you can zoom out. But if you zoom in a bit, and then when you zoom out, if you press escape key, you have to do it a couple of times, sometimes it doesn't work. It will zoom out the map a bit more. So this is really helpful to see stuff a bit more clear in the big picture. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have fun playing the build. That's all that matters, basically. Check my YouTube channel for more Path of Exile builds. Stay safe.